actually fail because they don't pay attention to the how to. How does this thing happen? Okay, so let's start from your premises. Premises is a total collection of all the things that make the physical infrastructure of where the business will be operating. Now, you might say, I want to go and have a cheap little office in somewhere in a corner of town because it doesn't cost me much money. Now, you look at that image of that office, yet for the same amount of money, maybe you can go to a nice co-working space where you have got the full structure of a beautiful office. You have got the support of secretaries and internet and all the other things that come with a big office. And when your clients come to you, you are able to sit them in a nice boardroom and chat. So the infrastructure where you run your business from is very important. In fact, addresses are really, really important. And very many times we judge professionals by the location of where they carry out their business from. Then the other thing, as far as operations is concerned, is people. Now, what advocates practice is a professional skill. So the skill is in you. You have learned it. So you end up interacting with your customers on a continuous basis. However, that be as it may, you need to think about what people do you need to help you to do the non-technical stuff. Let's say, for example, when you leave your office and go 2 streets to photocopy a document from a photocopying shop, if you look at the use of your time, if you look at the use of your professional time, that is certainly not very productive. Yet, you can be able to take the business processes and the work that is going on in your office and say, this particular category of activities will be handled by myself as the advocate. This particular category of activities will be handled maybe by my assistant, my clerk. This category of activities will be handled maybe by my secretary. Locking the office and opening it in the morning will be handled by my messenger and my driver. So you need to think about deploying people in different parts of the work. This slide shows you about how people are deployed at board level, at management level, and at staffing level, because this discussion is for the general business. Now, the final point on this slide is about processes. Now, processes is how things work. I think you have, in the profession, you have got regulations. You've got regulations for courts, the high court, the magistrates court. You've got procedures, practicing procedures of how things work. You see, those are outside your office. How about in your own office? You yourself now. For example, when you take in a new advocate to come and work with you, how does the induction process work? Have you sat down and defined and said, before this new advocate starts serving customers, they must go through a checklist of this, and that? Okay? So that's a process called induction. Now, a new client comes to your business. Does everyone know how that client is onboarded? Maybe we open a file. In the file, we put a client information sheet. Then we take the contacts. Then we photocopy the ID. Is there a written procedure in your office where everybody knows exactly how it is done? Now, you need to sit down and think about all the activities that happen in your office, all the way down to the securing your office. How do documents get secured? So and so takes the document, it is handled by so and so finishes with it. Where does the document go? Then filing. What is the order of filing? So businesses have got something called a procedures manual. In fact, a procedures manual is so important. It is what forms the foundation of something called ISO certification. So if you want your firm to be certified to the standard of operating a law firm, you need to start by having an operating manual, and then everybody in the organization is taught how to use that manual. Again, as I said, today's session is just to give you a general landscape of showing you the things that you need to think about. So as we come near to a close, we will deal now with the most important subject of everything, because business is about money. And what I'll be discussing now in the next few minutes, because I can see we are drawing to the close of my time, is thinking about money and how you approach it. There are thoughts about money before you start. So for you who have not started, please listen to this. The first thought about money is budgeting. So you create a financial projection of saying, I expect, let's go to budgeting. You say, for me to set up this farm, I'm going to have the following capital expenses. I'm going to pay a lease, I'm going to buy furniture, I'm going to buy computers. Then you make one big total. Okay? Then you say, the way I see my farm, I'm going to employ so many assistants, I'm going to have this kind of salaries, I'm going to pay rent this much. We call that the operating budget. The first one is capital budget, the second one is operating budget. Now, with the operating budget now, you do what we call a cash flow projection. Don't worry about the technical sounding of those words, cash flow and all that. It basically means some money will come in and some money will be spent. You might find in your earlier days, the money coming in is a little less than the money you are spending. So you say in the first month, I will have a deficit of 100,000. The second month, I'll have 50. The third month, I'll have like that. So you say, I will have a total deficit of 600,000 over the first 6 months. Before you open the business, please find out where will that money come from. Now, money comes from two places. Either it's your own savings, or you acquire it from, borrow from someone, your friend, the bank, or whatever. Don't go into business without knowing how you will cover that shortfall. It does not mean that you must have the money, but you need to have a formula. Because what happens is that the business starts in month 1, you fall short. In month 2, you fall short. In month 3, you start laying off some of the stuff you started with so that your business can fit. So spend some good amount of time thinking about the business before it begins. Think probably about the capital requirements, and don't say, I'll have a few things and I'll bring in the others later. Try and be adequate, because when you don't have adequate infrastructure, that undermines your capability to work. Now, the business has now begun. Okay? When the business has begun, now you do what we call accounting. Now, this is very important because a lot of businesses actually come down because the owners do not even distinguish the difference between cash flow and the profits. You see, when a client comes and pays legal fees for a particular service, not everything is profit. Some of that will be your costs. Some of that will be the cost of going to court, driving your car to court. So don't take the entire amount and go and buy a car. Try and work out what is your cost actually, so that what you are spending outside your business is that small surplus. So a lot of businesses don't distinguish what is their profit and what's their cash flow. Now, when businesses are beginning, typically they make losses. There are very few businesses that hit the ground like this and month 1 they are making profits. Now, entrepreneurs are very upset about losses, and because they are upset about losses, they are upset about losses, they don't want to see the accounts. Please have the courage of seeing the accounts so that so that even when you are in a hole, you need to know how deep you are, and you can be able to see how well you are coming out of the losses. By the way, my host reminds me that in the chat box there's a place where you can drop in a question or two which we can answer towards the end. You can make a comment, or you can drop a question. Okay. So now we are in with accounting, isn't it? Please have the courage to look at your profit and loss and balance sheet. These days they are called statement of comprehensive income and statement of financial position. Whether you are making profits or losses, please look at it. It will help you to know how much effort to put. We say you normally run as fast as the animal that is chasing you. So as we are coming to the end, I'd like to talk about control. Control. You know, I had a client who runs a medical clinic, and one day in a joking manner, the client, a doctor, said to me, "You know, my receptionist looks richer than me." So I asked client, "Why is my, you know, she has a nice car, a better car than mine." So later on, I asked him, "Did you find out why your receptionist is richer than you?" Then he found out that the receptionist had a separate pay bill for collecting money from customers. So half the money was going to the receptionist's pay bill, and half the money was going to the practice. So how do you control things in your business? Clients come to your business. How do you control that they are served by your organization? You must have a mechanism. I may not give you the answer in this sitting, but think about it. Are the clients coming to your organization, being served by your organization for the benefit of your organization? That's a subject of a lengthy discussion we might have later. Then there's compliance. Okay, there are general compliances. The big one is tax. People in professions sometimes don't pay enough attention understanding what tax regulations and tax procedures are relevant. In fact, the tax bill or the tax act must be the most complicated one, because it's a new one every year. It's a new law every year. So you actually need to always look at the briefs. There are always a lot of professional firms of accountants that write out briefs showing which changes have come in the various taxes, income tax acts, withholding tax, excise duty, all those things. So sometimes you'll find you have been neglecting to pay a particular component of tax, then one day you are hit with a big assessment and you are forced to fold up your firm. So this thing called audit, which is like the next point, is very important. There are types of audits. There are statutory audits and there are compliance audits. Try and bring in an accountant to be able, an auditor, to come and just look at your books and just see that your income and expenses are all flowing properly. Where your money is being captured, these are correct expenses. You're not paying for things inordinately more expensive than other entities. Of course, now once you've got all that information, you always need to be able to, at a glance, be able to say my business is going up or my business is going down. So that is a general understanding of financial statements. So I'm going to come to a close of this general landscape discussion at that point, so that again we can allow a few minutes for catching up with tackling one or two questions. But I hope this is not daunting. I hope it's not too much information to discourage you from setting up your farm. I think you should now have even more confidence to set it up, because you can take a checklist of those items, plus others that you'll come across as you are reading them. What shall I say? As you are reading more on the subject. Okay, so my first question says, could you discuss sustainability of a business, and how do you keep
a
startup running? Okay. We may have touched on this, but since now let's focus on this specifically. Yeah. a lot of businesses fail before they failed before they started. Why they failed before they started is because the owners never took time to plan the business. So entrepreneurship is a very emotive thing. So when the bug bites you, you want to get up and running right away. So you did not plan your financial requirements properly. That is one of the biggest weaknesses that makes businesses unsustainable. The famous equation in accounting, we say assets equal to capital and liabilities. Capital plus liabilities equals assets. The genesis of that is to say the assets that the business needs to run can be acquired by a combination of the money you have and the money that you get from other sources. Now, very many times we want to limit our business to the amount of capital that we have. So you find you don't have enough money to pay rent for say 6 months. You don't have enough money to carry you through that dry spell when the fees have not started coming in. You don't have enough money to pay salaries. You don't have enough money to transport yourself around. So inadequate capital is probably one of the biggest problems. Now, how do you solve that? One, you can borrow money from friends, or you can partner. There is nothing wrong with starting out in business when you are 2 or 3 of you, so that you provide adequate capital. In fact, partnerships have got the big advantage that they provide labor which is friendly, because you see, partners can pay themselves a lower amount than market rate because it is their business and they are the downstream beneficiaries of the venture that is being undertaken. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 that makes businesses fail is something called overtrading. Now, overtrading is taking up commitments which are beyond your capacity. So you set yourself up in a particular area of law, like commercial law. You are 1 or 2 advocates, but suddenly you have got a dozen banks giving you work. So what happens is that because of that overtrading, you are not able to give good quality work. Now, something about clients, especially in this country of ours, they never tell you when they are unhappy. You just know they are unhappy because they never came back. So it's very important that you give people quality service. Now, let me build on that, what I've just said. Quality service. The services that we offer customers, we are the ones who declare. Myself as Njeru Karauna, I say I'm a management consultant. It's me who has told the people I'm a management consultant. Therefore, I have to offer that service to the standard expected of me. So, you must be able to offer customer services within the promise that you have made. If, for example, I come and tell you, I'd like to incorporate a company, and you know that it takes 2 weeks to incorporate a company, please don't tell me it will take 2 days. Because 2 days later, I'll be there. And then you'll find a way of giving me another reason, and another reason, another reason. And that turns out to be the last brief you ever get from me. But if you tell me, my friend, this thing takes 2 weeks. However, we can try and make it faster. You see, you've managed my expectation, and I'll always come back to you. So I make you sustainable. So, as much as collecting a lot of work is good, think about how to balance work with your capability. The other thing that is sustainable, of course, the subject of sustainability can be a long conversation, but I'm just picking 2 or 3 important things. Okay? Please ensure that you have entered a market which has got adequate customers. Sometimes you'll find maybe your cousin has been employed in a particular organization. Then it tells you, oh, you know, there's a lot of legal work in this organization. Why don't you set up a legal firm, I give you this work. You see, now you've made a decision based on one customer. If your cousin gets another job somewhere else and you don't have another customer, you see, now your business is not sustainable. So you must go back to market research and say, am I offering that something that is sustainable? When we are doing business development at one of the future courses, I would like to develop that thought a bit more, but I hope that to some extent answers the question that has been popped.
Yeah, perhaps we could invite the moderator, that is Miss Sabina Elijah. Sabina Elijah, are you present, perhaps so you can take some interjections?
Thank you once more. Yes, can I be heard?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, now we can proceed. I think you've tackled on the question on address of sustainability of a business. On to the next 3 questions that you should take at the time is, how do you keep a startup firm running? How does taxing occur in law firms? And which is a better technique of business? Is it a sole proprietorship or a partnership?
Okay, thank you, Miss Sabina. We'll have Mr. Njeru tackle those 3 questions. And if you got you right, how do you keep the business running?
Yes.
And what taxes occur in a law firm?
Yeah.
And the last one is whether you should go solo or
going to
partnerships. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the first thing I must talk about businesses. Businesses are living organisms. They are living things in themselves. In fact, if you find the most successful businesses in the world is the military, the school, and probably the Catholic Church. Those 3 things have got one thing in common. They are very procedural in nature. They have got a procedure for everything. The church has got the order of mass. It has got a proper hierarchy that is followed by all the people that work in it. The military, we know, we don't need to belabor that point. The school has got assembly. The teachers come, the students are there, they discuss the business of the day, everybody goes to work, and okay. So one of the important things to keep your business running, please create routines. Create a business which has got routines. If you say our working hours are this hour to this hour, have a business where everybody works during that time. Now, in modern times, of course, there are very many things that we are doing in a flexi working space. But you must also understand that your business works in an ecosystem. Let's say, for example, you decide your law firm will be working from 5 p.m. up to midnight. But your clients who you need are working during the day. They're working from 8 to 5. So you must find routines that work within the framework of other business that you interact with. Okay? Then you must have a mechanism of measuring the work that is going on in your enterprise. So for example, if somebody is filing a case in the small claims court, for example, it's a fairly standard process. You must be able to say somebody should be able to prepare a claim within 1 hour. So you are able to measure the level of performance of output of the people that you are working with, so that you are able to say, so and so, I'm going to give you 10 claims to prepare because I know you have time. So you must have a mechanism of always measuring what it is that is going on in your business. Then there's something called control. You must have a business which runs with pre-planned expenses. So for example, if you do your budget at the beginning of the month, first of all, you need to have a budget. Even if you have a windfall of some nice brief which brings you a lunch billing for fees, please stay within your budget. Have a new budget which will take care of that windfall in the coming month. Okay? Then keep the business money in the business. The working capital you have in the business is not a nice car. The nice bigger car is not part of the working capital of your business. Don't remove money from your business to go and invest in things, you know, to go and buy a plot near your home in Shags because it has become available. Yet, that was the money for paying rent. Keep the money of your business in your business. At the end of your accounting period, if your period is a month, work out the profit. If the profit is 20,000, you can take the 20,000 and go and buy shoes. But keep the working capital of your business in the business, because we starve our businesses with things that are not making money. Then also moderate, like in your business, please moderate how much you give for free. You see, a lot of times in my business, somebody calls me and says, hey, by the way, I'm thinking of setting up a bank. That time they're speaking to me on the phone. What is needed in Kenya now these days? My typical answer is, the question you've just asked me, that's what I'm paid for. So can you come to my office and pay me, then I'll give you another question. I'll not be surprised, people in your profession receiving all sorts of calls and saying, oh, you know, I've just hit somebody's car. What am I supposed to do?
We call it a quick one.
A quick one. A quick one. So you must also have, of course, you need to give a bit because you're part of society and you're developing your business. But at the same time, don't give away your business for free. And people don't tell people to meet you at the restaurant. They buy you tea and coffee. Then you give all your legal opinion, and the matter is over. You can't bill. Try and separate your social life from your business life. So let your customers come to your office, and this is why you need to have a nice office. Let your customers come to your office. You sit with a file in front of them. You turn on the clock. You're billing the time. And the customer also, because you can see the clock is ticking, they don't waste your time. They stay focused. Once you are finished with that, now you can say, Mr. Customer, let us now go and have a drink. That was a good meeting, and we shall continue with your work, and we shall give you a brief later. That is important. Finally, on this subject, manage your client expectations. Try and run a service where it is not clients who come to you to ask for progress reports. So for example, you are serving a bank. You are handling, let's say, recovery accounts. They have given you 200 accounts. Find a mechanism of that bank receiving a report from you on a continuous basis, not them interrupting you in the middle of a court session, saying, you know, that particular case, where has it reached? On one side, you are attending court online. On the other side, the bank manager is calling you. But if you have a mechanism of information flowing outwards, then you save on the time that people interrupt you. Again, I would still be happy to do a bit more of that question at a future time so that we can do it justice. Okay. Now, on the issue of taxes, professionals are subject to personal tax. Because you see, there are two types of taxes in Kenya. There is personal tax and corporation tax. Corporation is the limited liability company, and that changes from year to year. I think last year it was 30, now it's 35. It's always in the finance bill. So there's no difference between you running a law firm and you working a job. So your taxes are just handled on the graduated scale. But again, taxation is a major subject. We can organize a session of dealing with taxation. Now, why taxation is important for you practitioners who are here is that a lot of the clients will hire you to go and handle their tax disputes with the KRA. So you need to understand broadly the management of taxes in Kenya, especially for advising your clients. Because the moment your clients are hit, the first place where they run to is to their lawyers. Now, here is an interesting one, which is should I fly alone or should I have a partnership? Now, these two things, you need to see them in their broad context. We talked about something called SWOT analysis. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Okay? There could be an area of law that you want to practice in where you are so good at it, you don't need anybody else's assistance. So to that extent, you might want to maybe start off alone. Okay, you could be wanting to be in areas where a colleague is more conversant than you are, and you have an opportunity to offer services in that particular space. So you bring in a partnership from that point of view. Now, when you look at what we talked about operations, I talked about some called people. Okay, let me give you a fact of life. A fact of life is this: as long as the person who pays you money in business actually sees you, you'll never grow a big business. That you shake hands with the person who pays you, your business will never be big. Why? There is only so much that your two hands can actually do. Big businesses are built where the leadership and thought of one person is multiplied through the hands of many people. So even as you're starting your law firm, at the back of your mind, ask yourself, how will I create an ecosystem which works even when I'm not there? That in my law firm, a customer can come, the customer can get served, the customer can pay, the money will be in the bank, and I am on holiday in the Seychelles. What is that mechanism that you need to grow? So I don't know whether that answers to some extent the issue of flying solo or being in partnership. May I just make one comment of general application, because this will be very, very important in how you run your businesses. The use of technology. If you are starting a farm today, please try and find out what technological interventions now exist for enabling the performance of legal work. That is what is going to differentiate law firms going into the future. Because technology changes things. All of you have experienced the change in the COVID period when court sessions became online. All of you have seen how much change there is. Now, clients, like in my business, we consume a lot of legal services. We are interested in working with law firms that have got such elaborate IT systems. We are even demanding now, we want to see the status of our file without calling you. So when you take my brief, you put it up in your ERP and you give me a code. So I'll just be seeing you have filed, you have gone to court, you have done one mention. The high-paying clients right now are very, very, very concerned about technology. And because you don't have legacy problems, because those who have not started don't have the old problems of having started analog. I'm trying to tell you now, please start on the most robust IT systems. And if you need help, we can be able to help you with those at a different time, but somehow pay attention to that. That is what I'll call my parting shot, and I hope I'll see you colleagues at a different time. Now, moderator, I think you can pick up from there.
Okay, Sabina.
Thank you so much. I also want one of the members to at least give a parting shot before we close up this session. Welcome, Wai.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, I'm Monica Moy. I had a question on the chat, but I think we can cover that the next session.
Yes.
And I would like to thank you for creating this session. It was very insightful. And being, trying to be a founder in this career, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of mentorship. It takes for the seniors to get with us, to sit us down and guide us through the procedures, the do's and the don'ts. And so far, I'm very grateful, and I'm hoping to put what you've said into practice in the near future. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
So Sabina, possibly as we just wind up, I think I'd said this before. Today marks the beginning of a 5-week or 4-week series of this talk. So we'll be encouraging all of the listeners who are present today, and of course those who did not have an opportunity to join in on time, to watch out for similar links. We'll be doing this, I think we agreed on
Thursday.
Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be running the program from every Thursday from
3
3 p.m. to 4 p.m. There is always something to learn. I've just discovered that whatever you've talked about
Yes.
is captured very clearly in this book. I can see it talks about the financial planning, raising capital, the business development and operations. So members who are interested will get to know how we shall post this book online, and we'll leave the contacts for whoever would want to get a copy. How much is the copy going for?
That's 1,000.
1,000 shillings.
Yes.
So a copy is going for 1,000 shillings, and we hope it's going to make your journey to running a business easy. Asanteni sana, and enjoy your weekend. We meet some other time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Kwaheri.
Asante sana. Thank you.